All right, Craig. When we got the number 5 pick as the Pistons, we were disappointed, but you have
Sure.
an idea that there's a way one of the big three could possibly fall to us. So we're talking about Banchero, Jabari, and Chet.
Yep.
How can one of these three guys fall to us at number 5?
Yeah. So I think at first we were all just talking like, all right, so we're number 5. So it's either going to be Ivy, Sharp, Matherin, Murray, maybe AJ Griffin. And it's just like, what are these guys doing? Well, I think there's a world in which one of these guys falls to us, more specifically. And I don't even know if I love this, a world where Chet falls to us. And
Mm,
I think it's possible with Paolo, but anyways, I want to just talk about what that looks like. And I want to talk about the history of the draft. And I want to talk about a few other things. So historically, one player drops. That's just kind of the way it goes. Not a ton, not like in the NFL where you always have the quarterback that drops, or there's somebody that just drops like 20, 30, 40, 80 spots,
yeah.
right? Most notably Nick Kobe Dean. We don't need to talk NFL draft, but like that happens. So in the NBA draft, the same thing happens where it's like, I thought this guy was going to go, but something happened. Maybe it's a last minute injury before the draft starts. Maybe it's a measurable that they didn't like, or they weren't willing to go into the combine, or people actually saw Chet Holmgren in real life and realized that he is not as thick as a flagpole. So, like, these are the
Yeah.
kind of things that happen. I think you can combine that with another thing, two other things, actually. Number one, a lot of people are starting to put like a guy like Jaden Ivey ahead of one of these guys. Like, hey, maybe the Rockets want to guard, or maybe OKC does, or like, and it's just like they think Jaden Ivey's going to be the best player and could be a franchise leading player, so they take him. Like that is not, and then all of a sudden we're just one pick away from one of those guys,
Right.
right? And then inexplicably every year, and it's usually the Kings who are drafting right in front of us, somebody takes someone where you just go, what? That made no sense.
Yeah.
So I think there's a world where a guy like Chet Holmgren falls to us. Am I crazy?
Well, it's I think what needs to happen is somebody needs to be really high in Ivy, and then also somebody needs to be really high in Sharp. Like he's a
Yep.
big wild card where you're like, man, all of a sudden somebody, and then it could start a domino effect where you're right. Somebody takes Ivy, somebody takes Sharp. Now it's like, oh, you took it. Then I didn't know Chet would be available. Now you've got an Ivy, Chet. Now Jabari's fallen, or
Yep.
something weird where all we need is one team ahead of us to do something weird. You said the Kings are right for us, but
Yep.
if somebody does something a little unexpected, now it throws everything into a little bit of a, like I said, like a tailspin where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, that they didn't expect this, so now they're going this direction, and there you go, you got one of those guys landing. So it's not the craziest thing because of the history of the draft tells us somebody gets weird. Somebody finds their player and they're like,
Yep.
I don't care. He's supposed to go 11th. I want him and I'm
I
taking
want
him
him.
at 2. Or
Yeah.
hey, that would be awesome, man. That'd be great.
Well, that'd be fantastic. And I think the other thing too, you see a team like the Kings. They made a trade late in the year, or at the trade deadline, to get Domantas Sabonis. So now they have De'Aaron Fox and they have Domantas Sabonis. And the reason they went to get him, and they even traded away Halliburton, is because they want to be a playoff team now. They still have Harrison Barnes.
Hmm.
They still, I mean, like they have some good pieces there in Sacramento. They want to be a playoff team. So they could be picking at number 4. Chet Holmgren's the only thing left. And they could be saying, because Ivy already went, and they could be like, I don't even want, we don't want Chet because he's going to take a couple years for the body to even think about filling out.
Right.
We want a ready to play guy right now. We're going to draft Keegan Murray because we think he can slot in at 4 or 3 and he can play alongside, like whatever, Harrison Barnes. And we can be a playoff ready team right now. And so I think those are the other kind of things. Like we don't know what the other teams are going to do.
Yeah. And so with that, Craig, of the big three, who would you love number one out of those three to fall to us?
The one that I think is the absolute least likely to fall to us, Jabari Smith.
Okay.
I would
Exactly.
love Jabari Smith. I'm telling you right now, if Chet Holmgren's sitting there at 5, I still don't know if I want him.
Mm.
Like, I know some people are going to just think I'm absolutely crazy, and he's just a polarizing player, and either you love him or you really don't love his game. And I don't see it. I mean, like maybe in 3 or 4 years, if he can put on weight, but if he can put on weight, why hasn't he put on weight? And if he does put
Yeah.
on weight and he has such a weird frame, what happens to his feet? Like, I mean, like that terrifies me, injuries down the line and what it looks like, because when you add weight to that frame, can it handle it?
Yeah, it's not as easy as add weight because now you're
Right.
exactly he has never had more than what he weighs right now. And to your point, yo, man, good time to add weight would be now. Like,
Yep.
go ahead and do that. And it's like, I don't, and I get it. Or even in, last year, it's like really start building that up. So I get he's still young, but man, it feels like he's a guy that is ultra thin. I mean, it just
Yeah.
really feels ultra thin. So, and you and I've talked about, we don't want that bust right now. We really got to avoid that. He feels like a guy that's like, yeah, it didn't work out. He wasn't big enough. Like,
Yeah.
and who's gonna be like, really? Like that
Yeah.
seems crazy. It's like didn't work out. He's not big enough. So Chet, even if he falls, that's interesting, man. It's an
Yeah.
interesting thing because we don't even expect him to be there. That's the same thing with the Lions where we didn't even think about Jamison Williams. We didn't even know. We didn't talk about wide receivers because he's just going to go. It doesn't matter. But
No.
it's like all of a sudden there they are, or you make a trade or whatever. So you have that opportunity.
Yeah, and what about this? You ready for this? What if they don't fall to us? What if, and I don't think Portland will, because I heard a report that Jeremy Grant is player number 4 they're interested in. Now, 2 of the 3 players ahead of him are probably not attainable, because I heard
That's right.
Bradley Beal might be on that list, things like that. But what if Portland says, we'll give you number 7? We'll give you number 7 for Jeremy Grant. And then what if Houston or Sacramento, you got Jabari Smith still sitting there at 3. Chet and Paolo went 1-2. And Houston's like, you know what? We'll give you number 3 for number 5 and 7.
Hmm.
Like, I don't think I'd do it if I were Houston, but like they might say, hey, we're in on this. We want more good players. I don't know. Like
I
you just don't know what these things you don't know what's gonna happen. So I
no.
guess what I'm saying is don't just pencil us, don't put us in pen for number 5, and don't just assume that we have no shot at the big 3. Also, you ready for this one? Don't assume the big 3 will be the best 3.
That's right.
I really I think Jabari Smith is the safest draft pick in this draft. And then after that, Keegan Murray. And then
Mm.
after that, I know this sounds weird. You know who I'm gonna say. You know
Your
who I'm
guy.
gonna say. I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
say Benedict Mathurin is the 3rd safest. I don't even think Chet or Paolo are. I think then Paolo's the next. But like I don't even think these guys are the safest picks. It's just I will say though, when you watch Paolo's when you watch him play, like it's different.
He's gonna be all right. Yeah. So let us know in the comments your thoughts. How give
Yeah.
us a scenario that you think might play out where somebody falls to us. So let us know in the
Weird
comments.
trade falls to us, whatever.
Exactly. That's right. We still got Troy Weaver. So Troy can make things happen. So
Yep.
trade it. See what you can do. So let us know in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and we will see all of you on the next one.